Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're diving into a behavioral mystery that is incredibly common, deeply frustrating, and honestly, rarely understood. It's the gifted kid complex. It's this fascinating psychological phenomenon where early success paradoxically creates a trap for adulthood. Let's look at why early potential so often just stalls out.
So, have you ever met someone who was undeniably the absolute smartest in their class? The one everyone swore was going to change the world, but who now feels like they're going absolutely nowhere? Maybe it's a friend, or hey, perhaps you're even thinking of yourself right now. They've got all this insight and potential, yet they find themselves just kind of stuck in a routine, watching everyone else pass them by.
To investigate this psychological crime scene of stalled potential, we've got a map to follow today. We'll be looking at the vanished potential, the illusion of progress, the safety of misery, the identity flaw trap, the future self-disconnect, and finally, how to break that psychological cage. All right, Section 1, the vanished potential. Now, is it just a simple lack of ambition? See, society often just assumes these stalled adults lack ambition, right? They just need to work harder. But psychology tells a totally different story. What we're actually dealing with here is a psychological cage. It's a mental trap where early praise and identity protection create these hidden mechanics that literally stall your potential. Imagine being handed all the tools for success, but the very labels of being gifted are actually the things locking you in place. Crazy, right? Moving into Section 2. The illusion of progress. Okay, let's dive into this self-awareness trap. One of the most common traps for a former gifted kid is that they become master analysts of their own misery. They have incredible self-awareness. They can identify exactly why they're stuck and analyze their flaws all day long. But here's the catch. They completely fail to cross over into self-improvement, which involves actually changing behavior and actions. They observe, but they just don't act. Because the hard truth is, insight alone rarely changes behavior. Feeling like you're moving forward just because you understand your problems? Well, that creates a highly dangerous illusion of progress. You feel super productive because you've mentally outlined all your flaws, but in reality, you haven't taken a single actual step forward. Now, on to Section 3, the safety of misery. It's a battle between familiarity and happiness. Think about it. For a gifted kid, their entire identity was built on being naturally smart. Growing up, everything came easy. But adult success requires unfamiliar routines, serious discipline, and, gasp, actual effort. Because of this, the brain perceives positive change as a literal subconscious threat. The mind would rather hold on to a familiar, underachieving identity than step into some uncertain, entirely new version of itself. And this brilliantly illustrates just how wildly skewed human brain value allocation really is. A massive 85% goes toward predictability and familiar misery, leaving a measly 15% for happiness and risky success. Your brain is literally hardwired to value what it already knows way more than what might actually make you happy. Because of that skewed wiring, staying in a state of stalled potential actually feels incredibly safe. If you've spent years feeling like you're underachieving, that feeling literally becomes your psychological safety zone. Taking a risk to succeed, well, that feels dangerously risky to your subconscious mind. Whereas staying predictably stuck, well, that's just comfortably warm. Bringing us to Section 4, the identity flaw trap. Let's look at mistakes versus identity. So, fast, adaptable learners tend to treat errors as valuable feedback. They hit a wall, they say, oops, I made a mistake, and they adjust. But because the gifted kid grew up believing they shouldn't ever make mistakes, they internalize failure as this deep, fatal flaw. They don't think I made a mistake. They actually think I am a mistake. And attaching failure directly to their identity leads to a really devastating habit. Quitting whenever tasks become difficult or boring, strictly to protect the ego. It's a defense mechanism. Think about it. If they never really try at something difficult, they can never truly fail at it. And if they avoid failing, they get to keep that comforting illusion that they are still the smart kid. That leads us right into Section 5, the future self-disconnect. This is all about the illusion of time. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it breaks down the way our brains view the future. Research actually shows something incredible. Your brain treats your future self like a completely different person. The promise of a bright future felt practically guaranteed growing up.
The reality, though, is there's absolutely no immediate emotional consequence for wasting a day or even a week. And the result? You continually choose today's comfort. People fall into this psychological illusion that there is always more time. They end up choosing today's comfort over a future they can't yet emotionally feel. Think about how this applies to your own life. Staying up way too late, endless scrolling on your phone. You do it because tomorrow's exhaustion is a problem for future you, and your brain just doesn't emotionally connect with that stranger yet. All right, final section, number 6, breaking the psychological cage. How do we actually escape this trap? To break free, step 1 is you must recognize these hidden psychological mechanics. You have to be able to see the invisible bars of your own cage. Step 2, accept that changing yourself inherently requires facing unfamiliarity. It is going to feel uncomfortable, and you just have to be okay with that. And finally, step 3, turn that self-awareness into actionable self-improvement. This quote really summarizes the ultimate trap of the gifted kid. Understanding yourself and changing yourself are two completely different processes. You cannot just think your way out of this cage. All the introspection in the world isn't going to open the door for you. You have to actually take unfamiliar and often uncomfortable actions. So I'll leave you with a provocative thought today. Are you trapped in the illusion of your own progress? Take a hard, honest look at your daily routines and ask yourself if you're confusing knowing your flaws with actually putting in the work to fix them. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. If you found value in this and want to uncover more of the hidden psychology behind everyday behavior, be sure to subscribe. Because once you start understanding the invisible reasons why people stay stuck, you begin noticing patterns about your own potential that most people completely overlook. Keep learning, keep taking action, and I'll catch you next time.